everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. Trent and I are coming at you. Trent has no idea what we're talking about. I don't really know what we're going to talk about either, but I do have a couple things that we are going to talk about. But first, have you tried? Okay, so this is. Oop, spilled my coffee. Whoops.
Oh no! Did it actually spill?
No, it didn't spill.
Okay.
It was close. Cardomax. Have you seen the? So this one's good, but that black cherry is amazing. Hydromax. Oh, Cardomax.com. One's Ready is the promo code. Get yourself a discount, dude. The new flavors that he has launched. See, look at that.
I got Cardomax right now.
Which one?
Cup. I think watermelon.
Yeah. So this is raspberry Hydromax, but the energy intensifier black cherry, bro, it's crazy.
I'll open up that one next. Yeah. No, I mix it in with my my creatine in the morning, so that I get everything I need.
Okay, cool. Dude, if I take creatine, I balloon. I mean, I'm already a bit of a balloon as it is right now, but like I balloon up.
It's bulk season. No one can see me with my shirt off until June, May. Well, May probably here.
No, dude, you're in Texas. You're still probably in the 80s or 90s right now, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm not going to get too heavy, but
Yeah. Cardomax.com, promo code One's Ready, and then finally Hoist. If you guys haven't seen it, I hope you're about to bust some out, aren't you?
I mean,
see, you got the packets. I like the packets for traveling. Update on those though. The packets, they currently have dye in them, right? Because they sell a lot of this stuff in the military. The military makes them put dye into the powder, which is wild. However, they got around that regulation, so future powder packets are going to have zero dye in them. So that's less ingredients coming at you.
Is it because the Marines are like so stupid that they expect the color of the crayon to taste like? It's a color association thing. It's like a stoplight chart.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. It sounds stupid, but it really is. It's kind of why like bubble gum, right? Or candy is in a certain color. It doesn't need to be. No. They just do it because it's associated with it. I don't know. It's really weird. It's another form of government control.
Brr. I also drink with the amazing amount of caffeine I ingest every morning. I've been drinking these Kill Cliffs. Don't we have like a code like KC podcast KC20?
Podcast KC20.
Just throwing it out there. A lot of options for y'all.
Yeah, a lot of drinking options. Yeah, that don't necessarily involve alcohol.
Yeah, there's always tonight.
There's always somebody that's mixing it for sure. That is a good
That's when I give them Hoist packets. Sorry.
No, that is a good flavor you got though.
Oh, dude, did you like the Rogan one?
No.
Oh, I loved it. The spicy pineapple.
I drink it, but
but you're not buying it on your own.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I prefer the orange. I forget it. The goat, which is the grape, and then it's like their normal. It's like an orange kind of flavor.
Okay.
But yeah. But I do like it. Okay. So we've had dude, I'm totally just surprising you on this. So
nervous.
No need to be nervous. But I am going to address some comments that we've received recently. If you feel the need on any kind of social media platform, specifically Facebook, Airman NCO, Senior NCO page, and decide to comment on somebody's post because they got a medal for actions that they did serving downrange, that they get a high level award, let's just call it a Distinguished Flying Cross, and you decide to go in there and comment negatively about, well, they're just giving, essentially, I'll just paraphrase here, they're just giving everybody, and it's a weak generation of people, and that's why we're just giving these out.
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, this person probably did something great, and give them the benefit of the doubt and celebrate them rather than shit on them.
Yeah, after the last comment that this person left, that I know what you're talking about, I didn't trust myself to go on there. My public persona is pretty nice most of the time, like a little sarcastic, but I'm not going in there telling people to F themselves and like, because then you like, I don't want to get into like the my bona fides. Like obviously this person doesn't know who I am and all these other things, but it's like, dude, that last thing that they said was like, oh well, when was the last time you saw a master sergeant do anything other than manage a shift? I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude, like you're so stupid. Is this a members only?
I wasn't going to make it a members only.
I needed to check.
The reason why is because some of the other stuff we'll talk about, I wanted to get out to the masses.
All right. Well, these people, like the person commenting thinks that their own personal experience is the experience. And we've talked about this before. When was the last time you saw a master sergeant do this type of thing? Like I've seen people get medals that are not deserved, but this dude got a Distinguished Flying Cross for stuff that they were not saying exactly when, where, how this stuff went down. And like, if you can read between the lines a little bit, if you're associated with certain communities at all, you'd be like, oh dang, like this was probably super sketch. This dude was probably like asked to do something last minute, got in there, got it done, managed the whole situation as a master sergeant, and they decided to give him a cross. Like that's not nothing. And so like, just because it doesn't say everything in detail of what happened in that medal with reason, doesn't mean that this dude doesn't deserve it. It was so infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, what a douchebag to get up there and well, it's written too vaguely, and you're like, dude, hey, have you ever heard of data mass? Have you ever heard, like, you start saying all these dates, times, locations, number of aircraft, number of people, like what units, like that then becomes an issue, you idiot. Like, so of course, in his write-up, it's going to be vague, especially considering who he was working for. That is why, like, take the one controller. I won't say his name, but take the one controller that had engagements with the Wagner Group, right?
Yep.
And I forget what he ended up getting. I don't know if he got an Air Force Cross or Silver Star or whatever, but like
it was a Silver Star or something. Yeah. But schwacked all those dudes.
Yeah. If you actually see his write-up, it's got data mass all over it. Like it is very vague. So did what he did was fucking bullshit, and they're just, I gotta stop the cussing. YouTube's, go check us out on X, because YouTube is being problematic recently. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. That's another reason why I just like, all right, there's no arguing with this dude without going, all right, dude, and just starting laying in. It's just not worth it.
Well, and we've both been staff sergeants before, right? And I remember being a very confident and arrogant staff sergeant that thought I knew everything because I was the tippity tip of the spear and I'm out there and whatever I'm doing is like the most important thing. So like, I get it. I get being, stepping on your own, whatever. But yeah, it doesn't make him less stupid. Just like it doesn't make me any less stupid for some of the things that I said when I was an E5.
Yep. All right. On to the next, because that one's old. I do want to give a shout out to Captain Connor Riley. He is a CRO, combat rescue officer, and he was just awarded the Bronze Star for the stuff with the Afghanistan withdrawal. So they just posted about that, which is awesome. Excellent job, sir. Keep up the good work. There's a lot of people that were over there during that time that did some fantastic things, whether it's Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, like pilots, like right on, air crews. So good on you.
Well, what a terrible situation to be thrown into, and it was the best thing about going to the AMC event, right, was hearing all of the stories and like just realizing how much chaos and how many people were just basically pulled out of bed, thrown on a plane and been like, let's go, bro, hop in, we're gonna go rescue a whole bunch of people. And it's like, all right, let's go.
Okay. So I mean, I just got back from Phoenix with the 57th Weapons Squadron, and they are the C-17s out of Joint Base Lewis McChord, and they had 4 tails out in Phoenix where we were doing training, and At least the tail that I was on was one of the tails that was over there, and one of the crew, one of the loadies, or the loadie, was, or loadmaster for folks that don't know what a loadie is, was one of the guys over there, and we were just in the back of the plane, and he's just showing me pictures, and he's like, yeah, and I had people over here, and then we put kitty litter down on the floor here in the bathroom because he goes, there was just shit just everywhere, like literal feces everywhere, and he goes, we had people, we struggled to keep the cabin inside the plane less than 115. Like it was would fluctuate between 110 115 because we were getting heat casualties in there. People were just passing out, and it was just it's just wild to me that like that's just a testament to who our airmen and our military members are, because they got thrown into a situation that they did not cause. They did not, they for sure volunteered to be in it because they want to do what's right and what's needed, right? But for all intents and purposes, that situation should have never happened. But when they got the call, they went, they executed it amazingly, and then everybody, I don't want to say everybody forgot about it. Everybody is it's on to the next. That's just the way it is. But I don't, some of them got medals for it, some of them didn't. But I don't necessarily know that we can appreciate the things that they actually did and what they actually saw doing that stuff.
Well, what was surprising is how much pushback they got for a lot of the medals that they were putting in. It seemed like I don't think this was it was not a military failure, right? But it seems like a lot of the people higher up the chain, like maybe beyond our military chain of command, did not want to spend a lot of time and recognition on this event because it was horrible. It was poorly planned and executed the best that we could, because the military was the public face of this disaster, even though that we're not the ones that were making the decisions. Just saying, state, you still suck. But I think that was a big part of it. When Minnie was talking about how hard it was to get all these people recognized, and the amount of pushback he was getting for people being like, oh, like it's taking too long, and these people didn't all do this, and where's how many, like getting all the people back together that came from all these disparate units to like get all the witnesses and all this other crap to push it all through to recognize these people that did incredible things in the worst of situations. It was a little disheartening, that side of it. But like the other side is the airmen. Anytime they talk about like the multi-capable airmen, nonsense. Like this is like, you give them a mission, you give these people something to do, you put them in a bad situation, we come through every single time. So stop coming at me with this GO being like, well, there was one airman whose whole job was just to plug in the computer. You're full of it. That's absolutely not true.
I must have
And
missed
you're
that.
so far removed from, or whatever it was, like they had like this story of like, there's one airman that sets up the computer and there's one that does this. And how come they can't do everything? They do everything when they need to. Okay. Maybe your leadership sucks.
I mean, there were definitely people that, for that duration of the operation that nobody said, that's not my job. Like, do you think it's appropriate that one of the pilots or one of the crews that was on the C-17, when somebody gave, when parents were struggling and passing out and having medical issues, because there was a lot of medical episodes on there, that she grabbed their baby, or not grabbed, like, took their baby. But,
give me that baby.
Yeah, give me that baby. But, she's holding the baby up to one of the AC vents to cool the baby off. That's not her job. She's not a medical professional. She just did it because that's what needed to be done. She didn't say that's not my job. And that was a whole lot of people that did all those operations. And I know we're kind of focused on the air crew, and that's because, I was hanging out with them earlier this week. But like the homies on the ground too, we had some of them on, some of the PJs. Now we haven't had any of the Army dudes on, or the controllers, but that's two reasons for that. One, they don't really want to come on, but two is they're still at a unit that cannot allow them to come on. So mix that together, and that's why you haven't heard from a controller on that whole stuff. But like, dude, it's
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I'm getting ranty. Trying not
Uh,
to.
I mean, it's but like it's just like I think one of that situation and being able to hear all those stories is one of the reasons that we still do this podcast, right? Like there are so many things wrong with the military and the Air Force and special tactics, aspect war, all these things. But like you see a situation like this where you know the folks, everybody's just trying to do the right thing, and everybody's working more than they have to. Everybody's staying up 18 hours at a time, if not more, to get the job done. And so there the every time I hear any of that other stuff, like we have the talent, we have the motivation, we have all the tools in the military, talent department to do anything that needs to be done. And so, all these other initiatives, I think that's what bothers me the most is all these initiatives make it seem like we don't have that, and the these generation things going back to the other thing as well. Like I think you're just mismanaging it
Yep.
altogether because when managed correctly or given the opportunity to do the right thing, the vast majority of people are stepping out there and doing the right thing.
Yep, they for sure are. Okay, moving on to kind of what I talked about in terms of comment section. We got a comment
Yeah.
um, from Mr. Awkward is what it looks like it spells on YouTube, saying officers should always be the first choice. Telling someone with a degree specifically to go enlisted is bad advice. Get the money. Man, so I've got uh, a few things on that. One is I don't believe officer is the first choice. If that's the route you want to go, great. It does not have to be the first choice. I think that's insane. Like why would that be the first choice? I,
Well, he said get the money.
yeah,
Apparently, money is the only thing that matters in this world. Well, on your deathbed, you'll be like, well, at least I got the money.
yeah, I got the money. I didn't really get to do much of anything else other than, lead people. But you know, I got that bread though. Like, oh, okay,
Woo.
cool. Did you ever become a tactical expert? Did you ever become a expert level tactician in your field? Oh, you didn't. That's right. Okay. So if that's your jam, you just want to chase the money, like great. But
Well,
if you have a degree and you want to do the job, like legitimately do the job, then it's okay to come in enlisted. And guess what? You can do 10 years enlisted if you want. You can do 8 years enlisted, 12 years, and then go officer. Like that's right on. And actually some of those, I'm not saying that the academy or non prior E's are bad officers, but some of the prior E's make some of the best officers because they have both sides of experience.
first of all officers should be enlisted first. I
I
think
knew that
I've
was
made
coming.
my point clear. But there's a difference, right? Because in our community, there's so many dudes that come in with degrees that see the difference and they say, "Oh, okay, maybe I'll be a stow at some point, but like I gotta fill my doing stuff cup."
Yep.
Like I don't want to take the risk that like I'm going to show up to my first unit as a lieutenant and they don't have like a deployment for me, or they need someone to be a sit in the op shop or something like that, and I'm a capable person and people like me, so like I'm going to get hosed out of any of my tactical time really, and pulled like K Dub who got some of it, but like he's such a capable person and such a
Yep.
good dude across the board, tactically all the way up to all the management stuff, that I don't think he got as much tactical time as he would have liked. Like that dude could have done anything. But on the other side, on the reg af side, the regular Air Force side, man, if I guess if you're going to be like a personnelist and you're going to hate your job anyway, and you have a degree, like if work is just work for you and you don't live for it and it doesn't mean anything to you, like I think that's where this guy is coming from, or where he means to come from is for those people that are doing something that they don't enjoy or it doesn't speak to them, then yeah, go after. If all things are the same, then go after the money. It makes a little more sense, but our side's a little
100%.
different.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it. If all things are equal, right? And you have a degree, sure, go in. But you got to understand if you're looking to do operational stuff and the focus be on you in terms of when it comes to training and the doing close air support trips or shooting schools and all that kind of stuff, it is going to be on the enlisted side. if you're an officer going through that, you get probably 4 years on team. Like once you graduate the pipeline, like
Maybe
4 years on team, and then you're going to professional development schools. You're getting put in leadership roles where you're not going out. Like that's just the way that we are designed. Our experts and our tacticians are enlisted.
Yep. Yeah, and you like it's funny though. Like Espo tried to do that. He tried to switch over as a tech because he's like, man, I'm gonna get some more team time as a lieutenant Stowe, and they totally hosed him on that because he's Espo. But like
Yeah.
those are the guys that like you'll see that more often than not in our community is the guys that try to play the game. They go from tech sergeant, and then as they start to put them in like team sergeant staff level jobs, even though they haven't made master yet, they're like, oh, I'm just gonna commission now, so I can get some of this lieutenant time and maybe get 1 or 2 more good rotations out of this career before master sergeant, captain, stuck behind a desk, regardless, right? Like they're like, same. Those are like all things being equal to them. That's what it is in our community. Is no one cares about the money. Like the money's nice. We get a little bit extra, but that's not what we do it for.
That is for sure not what we do it for, because we don't get paid enough for that. The extra pays are nice. The extra pays are for sure nice and warranted, but man, when you start talking about the amount of time you're on the road gone, the price you put on your body, the expectations of you, the situations that you find yourself in. Now, again, I would never like put me in those situations, dude. I can't get enough of those situations. Right? Like,
yeah,
I can't get enough of it. Like, I would forego my freaking paycheck to get put in some of those situations. But but you still got to be able to live. You still got to be able to go to the grocery store and buy food and fill up gas tank and pay for insurance and cell phones and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. Like all that stuff costs a lot, especially these days, especially in 2024. It costs a lot. So, yeah. Anyway, another comment was, and I didn't screenshot it, but he was like, wait a minute. He was basically confused between what AFSOC is and what Air Force Special Warfare is. I don't know if you saw that comment.
I did in passing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, obviously we need to address this and I don't know how many people get confused about it. Maybe it's just one who made the comment. Maybe it's not. But Air Force Special Warfare is a conglomerate of SR, or Special Reconnaissance, Combat Control, Pararescue, Tactical Air Control Party. And then you have the Special Tactics Officers, Combat Rescue Officers, and the Tactical Air Control Party Officers. So, am I missing one? I know I was counting on my fingers here.
I think it's 7, right?
Yeah, 7. So, like, that's what we got. And that is Air Force Special Warfare. And within that, there are different major commands that some of them fall under. So, like, taking out Air Education and Training Command, like one-offs, kind of like me and kind of the instructors, right? Special Reconnaissance and Combat Control will only live in Air Force Special Operations Command. So when we start talking about major commands, Air Force Special Operations Command is one of those major commands. It's not that AFSOC is the new Air Force Special Warfare or anything like that. And man, this is super good. You really do need a chart for this, right?
Yeah.
So when you start talking about pararescue and combat rescue officers and tactical air control parties, members, officers and enlisted, some of them and a good portion of them are in Air Force Special Operations Command. The preponderance, though, of pararescue and combat rescue officers and TACP, especially on the TACP side of the house, are in another major command, which is Air Combat Command. Still Air Force Special Warfare.
Air Force Special Warfare really only exists in the training side. So if you look at the Navy, right, the NAVSPEC war, whatever they call it, they own BUDS. They own all of their training. At least they oversee all of it, right? On the Air Force side of it, because we have different lead MAGCOMs, between ACC and AFSOC, but like we have a lot of things in common as being an offensive ground force and in the Air Force, right? And a lot of the stuff that we do, we are trained by a different major command, which is the Air Education and Training Command, right? So you have like at least 3 different commands that are involved in this process. But we came up with Air Force Special Warfare as a blanket term to cover all of these folks in the training side, mostly as a marketing tool to the Air Force, so that we could make this make sense to them as to why we're bringing all these things together before we farm them out to the multiple lead commands for those AFSCs. And I know it's confusing, but that's how it is.
There's got to be a so that we don't have to recreate the wheel. There's got to be a COMREL or command relationship diagram, or a kind of what aspect war is. It not is, but how it's delineated between the Air Force. Like, I would hate to have to build that, but I will if I need to.
Well, originally we were supposed to be a direct reporting unit to like the Pentagon. I think it was supposed to go from like, or at least to AATC headquarters and straight to the Pentagon, and then bypass everything within AATC and the NAF and all that other stuff.
The pipeline was
the new the wing, all the Air Force Special Warfare stuff on the training side was supposed to be a very clean chain of command up to the Pentagon and then back down to ACC and to AFSOC. Now, because of politics and resources and all these other things that happened, we just became another wing beneath this the numbered Air Force. That kind of muddies the water and all these other things. But like we were trying to make it super clean, and then there was the pad that was going to bring the PJs back into AFSOC, and then there's going to be a lot cleaner, comm rail between AFSOC and the preponderance or the majority of the folks going through our pipelines, at least the similar pipelines over in AATC. And we're trying to like kind of bring all that together with eventually, people have proposed the whole just ground pounders, being a DRU in general as like not really a major command, but whatever it is, kind of handles all of its own stuff from training to operations and all the other stuff. But yeah, it's kind of messy. It's there's some goodness to it because of who we are and operating in AATC and the money aspect of it. We don't suck more money out of SOCOM just to train our people. At least to the lowest levels. But man, you got a lot of people and their fingers in the pot that don't understand or don't like what we do as well. So it's a complicated thing. Sorry, I'm going into the weeds a lot.
No, it's good. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't understand what we do in the pipeline, or why we have the requirements that we do, or don't understand the requirements that we say are the requirements, because they hadn't gone through it. So maybe it's an unpopular opinion. I don't necessarily think that, actually I do. I was going to say, I don't think it's great that you have leadership leading Air Force Special Warfare that haven't gone through what we have. That's not to say that current leadership, like Colonel Kalanga of the Special Warfare Training Wing, like I've known that dude for a long time. He is a good dude. Like I like him. He has done well in the position of being the wing commander. That doesn't change the fact that I still think ideally you should have a special tactics officer or a combat rescue officer in that position to be the wing commander that's going to oversee Air Force Special Warfare training. You would never, ever see a naval aviator, a naval pilot, or somebody like that being in charge of BUDS. You would never see that, ever. Yes, go ahead, Trent.
Would you see a SEAL in charge of, a SEAL officer in charge of naval aviation training?
No, you would not.
Or would you see one of our guys in charge of, or anybody that's not a pilot in charge of pilot training?
No, good sir, you would not.
Oh, weird. Why?
I know, right? But we're a bunch of unruly children and apparently just need to be watched a lot, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just it's strong personalities all the way around. Between, like pilots run the Air Force, there's a lot of strong personalities over there. And like you said, like I like a lot of the pilots that I meet. I think for the majority of the time when our guys meet pilots, there's I don't know, there's some kind of we don't struggle to get along most of the time,
No, no.
especially like A-10 pilots and cool pilots and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
or like we're just familiar with each other.
Yeah, we get
But
it.
there's people that get into command, and there's all these other things, and people fight, and people don't understand, and everybody's fighting over resources. And at a certain level, I think that's mostly what it is people fighting over resources and promotion rates and all this other crap, and having control over this stuff, and
Yeah,
it kind of messes everything up.
it does. And I lament at work sometimes about how Air Force Special Operations Command has never been commanded by a special tactics officer. I would not say a combat rescue officer because none of them are at the rank, or they're too new of a career field, believe it or not. But
I thought that was what we were trying to get Armfield to do, right? That's the whole reason we stood up the 2-4 SAO
well, we
was
wanted to
to
get general officers anyway
yeah.
for better representation. And guess what? Now we've got a Second Air Force commander, special tactics officer, who is the commander for Second Air Force, General Wolf Davidson, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So we're making strides, but you also have General Mike Martin. You have, can't remember, I'm not sure if General Tudor is still serving. I'm pretty sure he is. I'm not sure though.
Man, these guys just disappear too at a certain time. Like it's hard too because you make GO. Like it's kind of like making chief. People are like, "Oh, don't you want to make chief?" And I'm like, I don't want to lose 100% control over my career. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy being able to like kind of like pick and choose where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do to a certain extent, especially like in a really small career field from like tech to senior. I have a lot of say over what happens, and I can talk to the other guys my same rank, and we can kind of game the system as far as what's going on. But bro, you make chief, you make full bird or GO, like you lose all control over where you're going. I think there's conversations about it, I think, and then you can hire command chiefs and all this other stuff. But man, like when they say go, it's either yes or I'm retiring, as far as I can tell. And I did not. A, I was done at 20 something years, or 20
Yeah.
years. But like B, like I don't need the Chiefs group telling me what to do. Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's just it's a weird thing. So I did just while you were talking, I did do a little research, and there has been non-SEAL commanders command naval special warfare, but they were also part of SWIC.
Yeah, the boat
So
crew guys.
yeah, so
That's like the difference between like a TAC P officer or a stow being in charge of all of our stuff.
right.
It's like,
So I
man,
still like they're still NSW dudes, like you know what I
yeah.
mean. So unless there's some kind of one-off right now, there hasn't been. So
Well, and because of, and I always like to bring up the pools. Like it took us a long time to get the Maltz Training Center done over in ATC, but like when we would have a pool go down on Lackland, like if that was a flight simulator, like people would understand. Like it would have been like people jumping through their own buttholes to make that thing work again, right? Like if that was
yeah,
an ATC simulator, like people understand that thing goes down, like it's a big deal. We lose a pool or we can't train in the water. They're like, like what's the big deal? Like why do you guys need your own water thing? And it's just like, man, like I get that you don't understand it, but I care about your simulator as much as you care about the pool, but it's just as important to us. Like there's a survivability factor here that is you cannot replicate any other way except through this. This is a training simulator for us. And like just having those conversations over and over again is exhausting.
isn't that wild though? Like as a ground dude or jumper, right? You can still look and go like, yeah, dude, they need their freaking simulator, their flight simulators. Like
Yep.
they absolutely need them. They're extremely important. But it doesn't go both ways. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, oh, why do you guys need that super nice, the pool or the very capable human performance facility?
Yeah. Well,
Like all
I mean,
you're
it's
doing
just
is jack and steel. Is that all we're doing is jack and steel? Is that really all we're doing?
well, their own ego doesn't want to admit to them what it is that we actually do, because then it makes them feel like less of a person. Is a lot of these conversations. And then the only person that got us all that money for all of the upgrades that we've done was General Goldfein. and
Yeah.
right, because he got rescued by some special tactics dudes, by some J's and a controller, right?
Yep.
And so like he was like, oh, I understand why this is so important, but like maybe this is gonna sound terrible. Maybe if a few more pilots would crash their planes, they'd be like, oh, but like it doesn't make any sense either, because during GWAT, everybody knows that if you were talking to a I don't want to say the call sign, if you're talking to a controller on the ground,
They had a certain call
like
sign.
yeah, and like they and all the TAC Ps and everybody knows you're talking to a bunch of Air Force guys for the majority of it, to drop all these bombs and to do all these things. Like you would think that after GWAT, all the pilots in the Air Force would be like, man, like we need to make sure that these guys are taken care of. Like this little group of people that goes on the ground to make sure that everything that we want to do happens. Like the people that helped facilitate all of my OPRs that made me a general officer, and yet for some reason they forget about all that.
Oh, it's not convenient.
Well, I have other opinions too. I'm just not sure that they're very nice.
Oh, what are they? Come on, buddy. You already said you have a heart out, right? So
yeah. Okay, so as a pilot in the Air Force, you are like the man everywhere you go. And people are like, oh my goodness, you're a pilot, you're a pilot, you're a pilot. And you run into our guys and we're like, what's up, sir? And there's a certain thing where you do not have a leg up ego wise on a certain group of people in the Air Force that you don't understand. And maybe sometimes our attitude and our our training that we've been through, which I don't know what's harder, pilot training or our training, but they're different, right? They're different kinds of hard. But you're not intimidating our guys. And like I think one too many pilots has been told that they're being stupid during a lot of these planning meetings by our guys, which our guys are right and wrong, and just like pilots are right and wrong. But I think that tends to be an issue is when you're a pilot in the Air Force, you are the end all be all. It's like being a boat skipper in the Navy or whatever the Army has that is, like that. And aren't that, but like special operations guys across the board have typically been not very popular in any of the groups because of that, in
yeah.
any of the services. Because they're not easy to intimidate. And just because you have stars or a bird or any of that other stuff, or you have a certain job as an officer, it's like cool, but like, do you want to get this done or not? Because your plan isn't going to work. But like, I have a plan, and I know I'm only an E6, and that bothers you for some reason. But like, I don't care. This is what we're doing.
Yeah. But there's a lot that you just said there in terms of.
Sorry.
No. So one is you want your E4, E5, E6 to be able to not be intimidated by general officers or politicians or whatever, because you need, even though you may not want it, you need that unfiltered, hey, if you do this, you're going to get somebody killed, or there's a lot of risk at this. And yeah, officers like are supposed to be able to manage risk and evaluate risk and stuff like that, and some of them are. But when you start talking about like those E4s and E5s, E6s that are actually going to be the ones on the ground doing the stuff, or jumping or diving or whatever it is doing the stuff, like they have a vote in that. And if you're putting them at unnecessary risk, like they should be calling you out on it, and they should be going, dude, that's stupid, we're not doing that. The other part of it is that,
or keeping you away from any risk.
Yeah,
that's where we tend to like the last few years is where we've had the biggest issues. Is like, you can't do that. It's like, well, then what did I train for? All this stuff. Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
It's that risk aversion, risk aversion, and we can't lose anybody, or we can't risk it, or it's like, dude, sometimes you need to land A-10s on a highway in the middle of Europe. I know that that's uncomfortable, but that's what you need to do. Sometimes you need to shut down a highway in the U.S. and land a 130 there because you may not know, or a beach in the United Kingdom. Sometimes you're going to need to train to land on a beach during low tide because you may have to do it someplace else in the world, right? It's risky. Of course it's risky. What we do is inherently risky, but you mitigate whatever risk you possibly can so that you're not taking unnecessary risk. But that's how, like, all the things that we do now are things that people risk. Do you remember when jumping with MVGs was like oh my God, this is insane, right?
Yeah.
For dude, the amount of people like, dude, jumping with MVGs is dangerous. You know, your risers come up, you could get a line caught in there and it rips it off and that kind of stuff. You're like, now that we've been, doing it for what, 15 years now, whatever. I mean, we've been
At
doing it
least
for a
10
while
years.
now.
Yeah.
And I still remember jumps without it, strapping chem lights on it. Now I couldn't possibly think about jumping out without MVGs. Like, dude, what we did was way more dangerous than jumping out with MVGs. Like, what?
No. We have lights. We have little chem sticks, so you can see the front and back of people, and you can see the guy tumbling below you. Maybe
red, green, red, green, red, green.
Yeah, assuming he's close enough, and you can actually see it during all the other stuff that you have going on, and super safe.
Yeah, very. But it's we need to take risks, and everything that we do now, right, is because somebody took risks. That's why, like that, Malcolm Gladwell's book Bomber Mafia is a great insight into the mind of bomber pilots back in the day, and I think we need more of that. We definitely need more of that these days. But the problem is that if somebody messes up, right, then they end up getting their pee-pee schwacked. And you're like, dude, sure, if somebody's negligent, yes. Or if somebody's malicious, yes. But if somebody's just trying to push the boundaries and see what's within the realm of possibility to make better tactics, techniques, and procedures, then we should be celebrating that and holding that person in high regard.
Yeah, but I don't like it. No, okay. So there's two things about that. A, when you read Air Force history, there's nothing more infuriating than seeing the incredible legacy that we came from, that we were spawned from in like World War II and all those other risks that these guys took, and just the cojones on these dudes to go up knowing what's going to happen, losing their air crew every time, and have like tons of them didn't come back. It was wild to see where we're at now with our leadership. It is wild. And the other thing is, man, if we're going to bring in non, Air Force Special Warfare guys to lead us, I think the Marines do this way better than we do. Because like the Marine mentality, their officers, at least the way that they teach it, is so much different than ours. Theirs is like, if you go out there and something doesn't work, they don't come back and start throwing spears at somebody. They're like, let's figure out where this went wrong. And then let's learn from this, right? Because like they're a smaller force and they, they're going to make mistakes, but like they can't afford to pass up on a learning opportunity for the next time that they go, right? Like, so like institutionally, I'm not saying that all Marine Corps officers, infantry officers are fantastic humans and know what they're doing, because they definitely don't, all of them. But they're the way that they've set it up with the way that they train their folks is a lot more like that than if you make a mistake, you're never going to make the next rank.
Yeah.
They're not risk averse. They're more focused on mission accomplishment than mission failure.
But nobody likes failure. But I'm telling you, like, some of the things that we've done out here at Nellis, that some of the major commands were like, absolutely, you're not doing that. Because we'll try and play the game and go, hey, we'll request permission to do this. We'll request permission to do a low altitude air refueling between a KC-135 and fighter jets at a low altitude, which, as you can imagine, is like, oh, but both, all the aircraft get to stay under the radar, right? So
that's
why wouldn't you do that, right? And of course, major commands are like, whoa, way too risky. Well, it worked.
Well, anyway.
We did it and it worked.
Remember how I asked you to do that thing and you said no? Well, we did it.
We did it. I was actually just seeing what you'd say, but I'm not going to beg for forgiveness, because we did it and it worked, and now it's a published TTP. So
here's the TTPs if you ever need it, guys. You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
You know what I mean? And we've done that. We've done that since I've been in the seat. I can think of 3 different major kind of things that we've done, and I know, and that's just at a higher level. I know that within the units themselves, they have done other things that have helped change and shape a community in a different direction. So it's you got to take risks, folks. You got to take risks. Just don't take stupid ass risks.
Yeah. Well, and before I hop off here, I don't know if you want to wrap up after I'm gone or what. I do want to say anything I'm saying that's negative about our career field or mostly pilot officers. I'm not talking about you, Vice. Like, these are generalities. Vice, we love you. Don't ever change. But yeah, everybody should
Yep.
be enlisted first.
Yeah, there you go. Well, everybody, head over to onesready.com, buy some of our merch. We've got attack elite gear there, so if you need something for the pipeline, dude, we're rapidly finishing up 2024, and you high school graduates, you're going to be moving on. So if you need Christmas presents, so if there are any parents out there, if you need Christmas presents, go over to onesready.com, get some attack elite gear, get some of our merch, prepare them for the pipeline. And if not, just prepare to get in shape, because that's just a better way of life as it is. There you go.
Yeah. It would be terrible to get into shape as
It would
a
be
father
terrible to
and
get in
set a
shape.
great example for your kids, all you older folks out there. Maybe you high school kids buy your dad a set of fins and just stare at him when he opens them.
You put a mask and snorkel, just throw it in the pool and go. Recovery. 3, 2, 1, go.
Show me how tough you are, Dad.
All right, later, dude.
Later.